This is KVUE News Daybreak.
A battle over health care leads late into the night for lawmakers. What Democrats are demanding when it comes to the new plan in the works.
And it was also a late night for the Austin School Board. 40 projects approved, but no actual vote on the bond. Why they decided to wait.
And worried about water. The tense emotional meeting over unsafe fluoride levels in Gerald. And if you're planning to fly to Phoenix or know someone else headed to Arizona this morning via airline, check your flight before you go. Overnight, nearly 50 flights were canceled in Phoenix because of extreme heat.
That's right. We checked ABIA. So far, no flights have been canceled at this point, but one we can tell you was delayed. And if you're wondering just how hot it was there, nearly 100 degrees in Phoenix at midnight. That's usually when it's supposed to be nice and cool. Midnight, 100 degrees? It's
a dry heat, though, Yvonne. It's a dry heat.
That is my biggest pet peeve when people say that.
100 degrees is 100 degrees.
Yeah, right,
Good
Erica?
Tuesday. That's right. Good Tuesday morning.
Born and raised in Phoenix, let me tell you how annoyed I am from hearing that. It's still miserable. Yesterday, they tied their record. 118 is exactly how hot it was. And today, they could break that, possibly 120 today. As for us, we are lucky waking up to temperatures in the mid-60s. Enchanted Rock, 65. Fredericksburg, same thing for you guys. Closer to 80 degrees for our central counties, but lots of mid-60s out, or 70s. Austin, 76 degrees. Couple of lower 70s for Bastrop, Cedar Creek, and also Lockhart at 71 degrees this morning. Here's your rush hour forecast. A partly cloudy start to your day. We should be mainly sunny this afternoon, so lots of sunshine is going to allow us to be in the mid-90s this afternoon. Your forecasted high at 96 degrees, but we have a northeast wind, so it's that dry heat that we'll have here in central Texas and allow our humidity levels to be a little bit more comfortable. For now, let's turn things over to Anna Veed. That is a mesmerizing sunrise on that cam right there.
It is. It's a very nice view altogether because you can now start seeing traffic moving quite nicely up inbound. Earlier, Mopac traveling northbound at Colorado River. This was all backed up as construction was underway in this area, but now that we've reached that 6 o'clock hour, all of that construction has now cleared. Also, the overnight closure, just an update here, traveling eastbound on 71. This closure has now been lifted on Presidential Boulevard, the on-ramp, and also Spirit of Texas Drive. Guys, back to you at the desk.
Anna, thanks. While you were sleeping, Senate Democrats spoke for hours at the Capitol, upset about the way their Republican colleagues are crafting legislation to repeal and replace Obamacare. As ABC's Serena Marshall reports, Democrats furious they aren't involved more in the process.
It's a Senate standoff. Democrats taking over the floor, halting business as usual.
What are you afraid of? Bring that bill out.
People are literally in tears on the phone. They are scared and they are angry.
The President of the United States called it mean.
And a talkathon effort to bring the Republican health care bill out from behind closed doors. A group of 13 Republican senators have been working on their repeal and replace of the Affordable Care Act for weeks and hope to get it to the floor for a vote before the end of the month. Democrats furious with the secrecy.
Is the chair aware of the number of consecutive days in session and the number of hours that the Senate considered H.R. 3590, the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act?
The Secretary of the Senate's office notes that H.R. 3590 was considered on each of 25 consecutive days of session, and the Senate Library estimates approximately 169 hours in total consideration.
25 days of consecutive session on a bill that was partisan in the sense that Republicans were angry with it, but we still had the courage to have a debate on the floor.
Hoping to force open discussion and a hearing.
Since this is a complicated bill, to review the bill, will it be available to us and the public more than 10 hours before we have to vote for it?
I think we'll have ample opportunity to read and amend the bill.
Will it be more than 10 hours? That's my
I think we'll have ample opportunity to read and amend the bill.
I rest my case.
And it's not just Democrats. Republican lawmaker Marco Rubio on CBS Sunday warning against rushing to a vote.
The Senate is not a place where you can just cook up something behind closed doors and rush it for a vote.
Serena Marshall, ABC News, New York.
And the Supreme Court is going to look at gerrymandering. That's when politicians redraw electoral districts to increase their partisan advantage. Monday, the Supreme Court said they'd hear a Wisconsin case in the fall, but the ruling could impact our state. And Democrats here complain congressional maps are drawn unfairly to dilute racial minority votes. The all-new overnight Austin Independent School District is one step closer to sending a nearly $1 billion bond to voters in November.
Board members worked into the early morning hours today to approve all the potential projects, and KVUE's Corey Coffin joins us now live from AISD headquarters downtown to lay out all the changes the district would like to see. Corey?
Board members approved some 40 projects totaling about $990 million net. Now, they want to stay below the $1 billion mark because otherwise they'd have to raise taxes, and that would make it less likely to pass come November. Now, even though board members worked about 8 hours overnight to get this far, they stopped just short of actually voting on calling for that bond for the November election. They decided instead to vote on it next week. This is at the urging of parents and community members who requested time to vet all the changes decided upon overnight. Others voiced concern over which projects are being chosen and whom they affect.
It's not about spending money, it's not about saving money, it's about investing well, and that's what I want to ask you to do tonight, invest well. I'm a history teacher. I taught from the beginning of the country to the end of the Civil War. I don't know numbers, but I do know one plan versus three. Three is better.
Go to night school, and that's the way I ended up graduating.
Now, she's speaking in reference to a potential middle school in Northeast Austin along with 2 other schools versus that portion of the money going to just one school. The community also urging AISD to build that Northeast middle school, and it's something that board members want as well. Some of them have even gone so far as to threaten to oppose the bond if that project was not added. So now that everything has been approved for those projects, or board members rather, will decide on that vote next week. Reporting live from AISD headquarters, I'm Corey Coffin for KVUE News.
Corey, be careful out there in traffic. 6:06 now is your time. Austin leaders want a judge to step in and stop Senate Bill 4. The law, which would allow police to question the immigration status of anyone they detain, goes into effect on September the 1st. And now the U.S. Department of Justice may join the SB 4 lawsuit. No pleadings have been filed, but given President Trump's stance on immigration, Mayor Steve Adler believes the Department of Justice will argue in favor of SB 4. Mayor Adler and several members of City Council filed briefs with a federal court yesterday. They argue the law is unconstitutional. They also say it will hurt residents and make Austin less safe.
If you value family values, if you value hard work, if you value people that risk everything to better the lives of themselves and their families, if you basically value the American dream of prosperity, you should be appalled by SB 4.
Now, those in favor of SB 4 do not believe it targets or discriminates against illegal immigrants. Austin, one of several cities suing the state over Senate Bill 4, will be in court in San Antonio on Monday. Today, former Governor Rick Perry and current Energy Secretary Rick Perry will testify before Congress for the first of many hearings on the Energy Department's proposed budget. He's expected to clarify his statements made Monday about the ocean being to blame for global warming.
Most likely, the primary control knob is the ocean waters and this environment that we live in. I mean, the fact is, this isn't it shouldn't be a debate about, is the climate changing? Is man having an effect on it? Yeah, we are. The question should be, just how much and what are the policy changes that we need to make to affect that.
Now, that view contradicts the conclusions of scientists at the EPA, NASA, NOAA, and the United Nations.
Austin police are investigating a rape and robbery case out of Northeast Austin. Police say 5 female victims went to an apartment complex on Friday night to pick up drugs, and they were zip-tied, raped, and robbed. One of the victims was able to get away and called 911. Altogether, there are 4 suspects involved in the case. 2 of the men accused of the crime are behind bars this morning. 19-year-old Christopher Jaramillo of Austin is charged with aggravated sexual assault. aggravated kidnapping, and aggravated robbery. 23-year-old Dimitri Rogers, also from Austin, is charged with aggravated kidnapping and aggravated robbery. Police have warrants out for a third suspect, 20-year-old Emmanuel Greer. The fourth suspect has yet to be identified.
Austin Community College will have a new policy when classes begin in the fall, and it has to do with campus carry. The state law, which was passed by the Texas legislature back in 2015, says people can carry concealed handguns on college campuses. Faculty will now be required to show a short video that explains campus carry and identifies the gun-free zones around campus. It'll be shown at each class at the beginning of the semester. Gun-free zones include testing centers, polling places, and child labs.
Well, the next time you take your kid to the doctor, they may ask you about guns. The American Academy of Pediatrics is recommending pediatricians ask parents if there are guns in the house. They're not supposed to engage in a debate about the practice, but instead talk about keeping kids safe by keeping guns locked up, unloaded, and storing bullets separately. Well, the recommendations come after a new study found 1,200 children die a year from gunshot wounds. Now let's take a look at our forecast, see how it's shaping up for the day. Here's Erica.
All right, we're keeping an eye on potential tropical cyclone 3, not officially a tropical storm, but where it currently is heading is northwest. So this is the latest update. Has not yet made it to that tropical storm category, but needless to say, bringing in lots of rain for the coastal areas of Louisiana, Mississippi, where we do have flash flood watches, and also some tropical storm warnings in effect. What we're seeing here across central Texas are slightly cooler temperatures. Mid-60s right now for Enchanted Rock in Fredericksburg. We have a northeast wind that has dropped down our humidity levels a little bit and also dropped down our temperatures. So closer to 80 degrees for LaGrange. The further south and east you are, it's a little bit more muggier and warmer, but not too bad at all. Here's a look at your rush hour forecast. We're in the clear for your morning and afternoon commute. Still a toasty one. I'll talk about just how warm we'll get in the full forecast.
Erica, thanks a lot. How about this? A NASA spacecraft has discovered more than 200 new planets outside of our solar system. And get this, they believe some of these planets may be able to sustain life. Outside scientists agree that this is a boost in the hope for life elsewhere. It's too early, though, to know how common potentially habitable planets are in the galaxy because there are lots of other factors to consider. But it's an interesting thing to read about and to see that there is potential.
Yeah. So I guess The Martian isn't too far off?
The Martian is not too far away.
I don't know, maybe from that movie.
Or if he's little and green like the cartoon. It was a local case that shocked the community, even gaining national attention.
This morning, the breaking news that we're learning about a couple charged with satanic abuse over 20 years ago.
Tony Plahetsky's here live with a report. Plus, 2 Texas brothers hospitalized with E. coli, where they contracted it, and the warning their parents want you to hear.